The man placed the letter into the mailbox, but he hadn't walked very far when he suddenly heard the sound of the mailbox popping open on its own. He hurriedly went back to check. When he opened the mailbox again, he found a reply already waiting for him. He looked all around, but didn't see a single soul, and things were about to get even weirder. The person in the letter told him that due to some freak weather, there would be a blizzard that night. Since the storm would make a lot of people sick, she warned him to take precautions. After reading the letter, he thought it was ridiculous. It was April. After all, how could it possibly snow? He went back to eating his dinner, not giving it another thought, but when he turned to look out the window, he was stunned. Snowflakes were actually falling outside, and it was coming down harder and harder. He found it completely unbelievable. By the time morning came, he stepped outside and found a thick layer of snow covering the ground. Alex is an architect. Not long ago, he bought this glass house situated right on the lake. Just as he was getting ready to move in, he discovered a letter left inside the mailbox. When he opened the envelope, he realized it was a note from the previous tenant. The writer said her name was Kate. She had moved out due to her busy work schedule, but since she hadn't updated her mailing address yet, she asked that if any mail came for her, Alex would kindly forward it to her. She included her current address in the letter. She also mentioned to Alex that the paw prints by the front door were there before she even moved in, and that there were some in the attic, too. She apologized for the mess. He went out specifically to check, but didn't see the paw prints she described. He didn't find any in the attic either. He figured she must have been mistaken. The next day, Alex decided to restore the rusty railing along the walkway. He was in the middle of painting the railing when suddenly, a stray dog ran up and stepped right into the wet paint. Just like that, a trail of paw prints was left along the walkway. He suddenly remembered what Kate had written. He climbed up to the attic, staring at the letter in disbelief. Was she some kind of psychic? Meanwhile, Kate was having lunch with her mother at the plaza. Suddenly, a car accident happened not far from where she sat. As a doctor, she dialed 911 immediately and rushed over to the man to administer first aid. But his injuries were fatal, and he couldn't be saved. Back at the hospital, Kate felt devastated. A colleague saw her state and tried to comfort her, suggesting she go out and clear her head, just to relax for a while. So, Kate returned to the lake house. Listening to the sounds of nature brought a sense of peace to her heart. She opened the mailbox and saw a reply from Alex. In the letter, Alex told Kate that the lake house had been empty for years. He thought the note must have been meant for someone else, although the paw prints had him intrigued. However, the date on his letter was from 2004. Kate assumed Alex must have just gotten the date wrong. She explained that she had definitely lived there, but had since moved to 1620 North Racine, and that the current year wasn't 2004, but 2006. That night, he was at a bar with his brother. He told his brother about this weird situation. His brother suggested that he should check out the address she provided. Maybe that would clear everything up. So, the two went to the address mentioned in Kate's letter, but the apartment complex was still under construction. Alex was completely baffled. The next day, he immediately wrote back to Kate. He thought she must have given him the wrong address to prove that the timeline was real and that she was telling the truth. Kate found a photo from 2 years ago. It was April 3rd. The weather had taken a freak turn that night, and a heavy snowstorm had suddenly hit. She warned Alex to bundle up. When Alex woke up in the morning, he saw the whole world painted white. Alex finally believed what Kate had said. He suddenly realized that they were carrying on a conversation across the barriers of time. Their correspondence became more frequent after that. They introduced themselves in their letters, discussing their jobs and hobbies, and sharing their lives and emotions. Although separated by a 2-year gap, they felt that between them, nothing much had really changed. They were also amazed to discover that they were raising the exact same dog. In the days that followed, no matter how busy they were, they always found time to write. Exchanging letters became a daily ritual, even though they had never met. Through the connection of their letters, they both began to feel an indescribable affection growing. Alex invited Kate for a walk over the weekend. They wandered the streets in their separate time, sharing the beauty of the moment together. Alex even had a surprise in store for Kate. Kate had a busy day at work, but whenever she paused for a breath, she realized just how lonely she was. Passing the time playing chess with Jack, she often thought of the lake house and the trees that surrounded it. It was the only place where she felt truly at peace. Alex looked at the sapling in front of him and suddenly had an idea. He drove his pickup truck, hauled the tree over, and went to Kate's construction site that night. With great effort, he planted it by himself. Sometime later, Kate arrived at her apartment in a downpour. She accidentally slipped and fell. When she lifted her head, she found a large, leafy tree standing right there. That day, Alex's brother visited him at the lake house and noticed something was off with him. It seemed like he had fallen in love. Although Alex didn't admit it, Kate had already taken up a special place in his heart. One day, Kate told Alex that, exactly 2 years ago to the day, she lost a book at the train station. It was a gift from her late father, so it meant the world to her. If it was possible, she hoped Alex could help her find it. After receiving Kate's message, Alex immediately drove to the station she described. He got out and started searching everywhere. Suddenly, he saw the Kate from 2 years ago, standing there with her boyfriend. He froze, unsure of what to do. After Kate boarded the train, he spotted the book she'd left on the bench. He grabbed it, intending to return it to her, but he realized that this Kate wouldn't recognize him yet, so Alex just watched the train pull away. Although he didn't give the book to Kate, he believed that someday he'd have the chance to hand it to her himself. When she heard about this, Kate felt terrible for putting Alex through that, so they made a pact to wait for the right moment to meet properly. Later, a female colleague was flirting with him, trying to invite Alex out for dinner, but right then, Jack started acting up in the back. The next second, the dog bolted from the truck. Alex chased after him. Jack led Alex across a small bridge, straight to a house nearby. Through a brief conversation, he learned that this was actually Kate and her boyfriend's home, and coincidentally, it was Kate's birthday. Kate's boyfriend was throwing a party for her there that night. He warmly invited Alex to join the celebration. At the thought of seeing Kate again, Alex accepted the invitation. That evening, as soon as Kate got home, she was greeted by the surprise everyone had prepared. Alex waves to her from the crowd, but Kate doesn't recognize Alex yet. Morgan introduces Kate to all his friends one by one. While the party is still in full swing, Kate slips out alone for some fresh air, as she really dislikes the noisy atmosphere. Coincidentally, Alex is also outside getting some air. Alex approaches Kate to strike up a conversation. Oops, out of power. Then Alex brings up the book Kate had lost at the station. They instantly hit it off. The story within the book reminds Kate of her first love, which was both passionate and unforgettable. But as they chat, Kate suddenly becomes melancholic because her father, who gave her the book, is no longer with her. This leaves Alex feeling a bit at a loss. He doesn't know how to comfort her. Just then, a gentle melody drifts from inside. At Kate's invitation, the two of them begin to dance right there. For some reason, Kate feels that the man before her gives her a strange sense of familiarity. They gaze deeply into each other's eyes and can't help but lean in for a kiss. But right at that moment, Kate's boyfriend appears and interrupts them. He never imagined that his enthusiastic invitation would end up inviting a rival into his home. In the end, Alex has to leave in an awkward situation. 2 years later, on the same day, Kate is single again. She drinks with a colleague at a bar to drown her sorrows. Thinking back to the events of her birthday 2 years ago, she suddenly realizes something. It turns out, the person she kissed was Alex. She writes to Alex asking for the truth, blaming him for not being braver back then. This causes their first conflict. If they had both been a little braver, perhaps the outcome would be different now. Just as Alex returns home, when he received news that his father was hospitalized with a heart attack, he rushed to the hospital immediately. The attending physician told him that although his father's heart attack was relatively mild this time, he would still require surgery. Alex had felt a lack of fatherly love since childhood, and their relationship had become even more strained as he grew up. He confided in Kate, explaining that his father was so devoted to his career that he had neglected the family for a long time. What he resented the most was that, when his mother passed away, his father didn't even attend the funeral. Although he couldn't forgive some of his father's actions, they were father and son, after all. When he learned of his father's illness, his heart still ached for him. Alex stayed by his father's bedside, and looking at his frail face, much of the past resentment faded away. One day, while Alex was still on his way to work, he received the devastating news of his father's passing. Meanwhile, in the hospital archives, Kate found the record of Alex's father's death. She quickly found a doctor to cover her shift and rushed out of the hospital. She went to the lake house. Here, she wanted to comfort Alex in her own way. She sent a copy of his father's biography to Alex. The book wouldn't be published until 2 years later. She wanted Alex to know that his father had always loved him. When Alex opened his father's book, he saw that besides his favorite architectural work, it also recorded memories of his family, showing he had loved them in his own way all along. After reading the book, Alex was deeply moved and couldn't calm down. He sat by the lake thinking for a long time, and suddenly felt an overwhelming urge to meet Kate. So, Alex went to Kate's favorite restaurant and made a reservation for 2 years in the future. That day, Kate arrived at the restaurant, dressed beautifully. She waited and waited until she was the only one left in the restaurant, but Alex never showed up. Alex was completely baffled. He couldn't understand why he hadn't made the appointment. Something must have happened to him. He tried to set a new date with Kate, but this time, she refused. She felt that if they missed their chance, it was gone. She didn't want to lose herself in this beautiful fantasy anymore. It was time to face reality. So she asked Alex to stop writing to her, but Alex wasn't ready to let go. He insisted on writing to Kate every day, pouring out his longing for her, but he never received a reply from Kate again. Meanwhile, in her own timeline, Kate, having cut off her correspondence with Alex, returned to her ordinary life. One day, while dining with colleagues, she suddenly received a familiar call. Her ex-boyfriend couldn't get over her and had come looking to reconcile. What's more, he had found a new job in Kate's city, so the two of them got back together. As time went on, Alex became convinced that Kate had completely forgotten his existence. Disheartened, he decided to leave this place of heartbreak. He packed away all of Kate's letters and stored them in the attic. The next day, he sought out Kate's boyfriend. He took the keys to the lake house, along with the book Kate had left at the station, and handed them over to him. He wanted Kate to be happy, and at the same time, drew a line under their past connection. Leaving the lake house behind, Alex moved back to his former home and returned to work at his father's firm. On New Year's Eve, while everyone was happily counting down to celebrate the arrival of the new year, he stood alone by the window, quietly grieving. Another 2 years passed. Kate and her boyfriend bought a vintage apartment. They decided to renovate it completely to serve as their future home. After comparing several options, they settled on a reasonably priced design firm. It happened to be Valentine's Day. Kate had prepared a gift for her boyfriend, but Morgan was so busy that he completely forgot about it. Alex's brother, Henry, came out to greet them. Henry took them to the conference room to discuss the details. As they were leaving, Kate noticed a design drawing on the wall. When she stepped closer to take a look, she realized the building in the drawing was the lake house she knew so well. Hearing the news of Alex's death, she was instantly overcome with grief. Suddenly, it hit her. It turned out that 2 years ago today, the man who died in the plaza was Alex. That was the reason he never showed up for their date. Realizing the truth, Kate immediately drove back to the lake house. She had to write a letter to stop Alex from going to the plaza. Meanwhile, in the other timeline, Alex had just left the office with his brother. Hearing something from his brother, he suddenly realized something. He immediately drove to the lake house. There, he found the letter Kate had written him. In the letter, Kate told him that she was having lunch with her mother at the plaza on Valentine's Day, and that she had witnessed a car accident. Desperate to see Kate again, he had rushed to that very spot. He finally saw the woman he had been longing for. Meanwhile, Kate was already sobbing uncontrollably. She prayed that Alex wouldn't step forward to meet her, begging him to wait patiently for another 2 years. In the letter, she made a promise to Alex to meet at the lake house 2 years later, and at that moment, Alex stopped right in front of Kate. He took out the letter he hadn't finished reading. By now, Kate was in tears. She didn't know if that final letter had actually reached Alex. Just then, a car suddenly appeared in front of her. The lovers who had crossed time and space, after enduring 4 years of separation and loss, they have finally found their way back to each other, and nothing will ever separate them again. In life, it often feels like we can never meet the right person, or that we just keep missing them. But whether in the past or the future, there is always someone waiting for you. True love isn't afraid to wait, because they believe that one day, they will be together.